It's about the type of people that seek Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening. We have 3, 4, 5 sort of different characters or types of people that are drawn to this type of work. So we have the ego-centered person, the spiritual ego person, that they're right, everything they says is right, they know everything. Yeah. The ones that you can find all these people in sort of like if you go into chat rooms talking about spiritual awakening, and they're the ones that come in and it's just like, it's this way, I know it all. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of people that do know a lot. But they're these people that they claim to know it all, but when you actually start to question them, they break down very quickly and they just repeat the same thing, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. And those same things are basically they're quoting other people or they're picking up on little tidbits that people have said. And you can see these people don't actually understand what they're talking about at all. We'll go into this a little bit more. So they're sort of the ego-centered. Then we have the new age love and lighters, that everything's love and light and wonderful. And you get this a lot, unfortunately, and they're like, oh, the energy knows better. So whatever I do, I can't do anything wrong. And if I do anything wrong, it's not me, it's the energy. So I'm not to blame. And we can see the problems arising here. Then we have the forever healer. The forever healer is the one that is stuck. They are the bread and butter of the self-help industry, always looking to heal, 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 but they never get to be healed. Yeah. Then we have the politically correct spiritualists. And those are the ones that you can't say anything negative, you can't be harsh with anybody, everything must be wrapped up in a nice, lovely bubble and be presented so no one's feelings get hurt ever. And yeah. And then you get the true teachers of Kundalini awakening, the gurus. And it's very funny. So you could have these masters, these teachers, and they might dress things up in a joke. But what they're saying is actually very harsh towards the person. And that is needed when it comes to this. There's a reason for it. I said we have the spiritual ego, that they're superior, they're better, they know it all. These are, as I said, very easy to spot, not all the time, because there is almost the spiritual narcissist. They're the really dangerous ones that dress up like it's love and light, yet it's all about. So if we take Kundalini Kundalini activation, which is moving prana, it's I'm the best, I move everybody. It's all about me moving the person, like in the demos, and I can do this, and this is what counts. And they don't care about the flow, the energy in the person. They might say they do, but it's getting the person moving. It doesn't matter if I push them too far, because it's not about that. It's about me moving the person. And then very close to that, as I said, we have the love and lighters. What they don't understand is, because a lot of people say energy is intelligent. What they don't realize is energy actually isn't intelligent. Shakti isn't intelligent. Energy is energy. And I like to give the idea, if we think about energy as electricity. So if you have a high-powered electrical line, and you go and touch it, the energy will flow through you, no doubt. And if you're touching the ground or earth in any way, it will kill you. No doubt. Same as lightning. You can get struck by lightning. The lightning doesn't care what you are, who you are. It's gonna, hopefully, at least simply you end in the hospital. If not, again, it can kill you. Now, obviously, when we're talking about Kundalini energy, we're not saying it's gonna kill you, but that energy can push you so hard that if you're not ready, if you haven't done the preparation work, if you're still stuck in the ego, it's going to cause problems, dark night of the soul, Kundalini syndrome, etc., etc., etc. I've talked about the dark night of the soul, Kundalini syndrome a lot on the YouTube channel. Hopefully you've seen this, you've watched the things, but that is what energy does. So if you get facilitators, it's all love and light and all wonderful, and I can do no wrong, and I can't push anyone too far. I just pull them, pull them, pull them, pull them, pull them, pull, or push them, 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 whichever way they do it. The energy, this is what happens. So again, it's a very ignorant way to say, I do whatever I want, which is basically what they're doing, because it's not about me, it's about the energy. You understand how this is dangerous, right? Yeah. So we then have the typical person that is always healing. I'm gonna talk about Kundalini awakening and healing. They're not the same thing. I'm gonna talk about that later. But the people that are always stuck in healing. Now, again, this can be someone receiving, but this can also be someone giving. They are stuck on their own healing path. If you are stuck in healing, you can't be awakening people's Kundalinis, because to get to the level of a true Kundalini awakening, which, as I say, that's not energy rising up the spine, it's not heat, it's not sweat, it's a connection. It's Shakti rising, Shiva descending, the divine grace descending, however we want to say it. It is the connection, it is the union of those two things. Those two things cannot happen fully to someone who is still healing. Why? Because that descending grace, that Shiva, whilst you are still stuck on a healing path, you are still going to be stuck in the dualistic, the right, the wrong, the good, the bad. You cannot fully embrace Shiva consciousness whilst you are still stuck in that dualistic mode. So anyone that claims they're awake and then they start talking about demons and angels and good and bad, you know they're kidding themselves. And this is very important here, because this is something I say to people, again, a lot. When people ask, how do you know when you awakened your Kundalini? And the very simple answer is, you will know, because it is so profound, you will know. However, there are many people who go through a few stages of healing. They have profound changes within them, and they think, I feel very different. This must be a Kundalini awakening because I feel so different. They say, when you know, you know. Therefore, now I know. Therefore, my Kundalini is awakened. Therefore. So we also have to state, it's not just when you know, you know. There are also telltale signs. And now yoga talks about these telltale signs. They're called the siddhis. So if you've just come to a place, you've released a few traumas and you feel wonderful and in yourself and great, and that's it, you've started your healing path. It is the attainment or the gift of certain siddhis, and different people work in different ways. But when you start to attain these siddhis, you can then start to say, okay, I've felt at home, I felt the healing. I'm going further. I've felt the rising. I've felt this connection. I've broken the bonds of dualism. Now I'm starting to have these weird things happen to me. Precognition, telepathy, blah, 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 blah. I'm getting these now. My empathic skills have gone through the roof. With these combined, we can then start to say, right, now I can start to think, am I possibly getting there? When you combine with consciousness, when you have that descent of grace, you're gonna. But the rising of Shakti, some people think that is the connection to consciousness, and it's spiritual ego, love and light, the forever healer. The forever healer, they're stuck in those levels. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say all of these people, stay away from them, they're dangerous, they're bad. They can be. The person who's a forever healer can be, I've said this before, can be one of the greatest people for you to start with. That is the kindergarten teacher. That is the primary school teacher. You need to go through the steps. Those people can help you tremendously because they're on their journey too. They're living it. They can understand it. It's not something that happened lifetimes ago. But the teacher or the professor of the PhD is the one that takes you on further. And they might not be able to teach the primary level either. Yeah. Said, then we have the politically correct ones. The politically correct ones, if you are being politically correct and everything, you're not helping someone going through a Kundalini awakening, because Kundalini awakening is tough. It's tough because you have to understand what your ego is, that it's your friend, it's not your enemy. You have to understand that your ego is what you program it. You have to let go of all these things. You have to embrace all of these things. You have to understand that there is no good, there is no bad, the non-dualistic. These politically correct people are so programmed within what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. They're stuck at a very, very low level. They can dress it up. Again, they can give you quotes, they can say. But again, if you go into groups and you talk to people in this, you'll find these people all over the place. And they will, when they run out of things to say in a conversation, if they don't like what you say, they're the ones that will start talking about your grammar, your spelling, your punctuation. They will start giving you dogmatic statements to prove a point that's got nothing to do with the subject at hand. We all know those types of people in all forms and walks of life, right? And then we have the ones that are really going to take you on. The Sifu, the martial arts master. It's said in martial arts, the true master has the knack of pushing your buttons, of always finding that point and being direct with it. What do we call this? Critical analysis, hard love, whatever we want, constructive criticism. This is what is needed to be able to take us further, to be able to see those points, be able to find those points, whether they are hidden traumas within you, whether they are blatant psychological points that you need to get over, whether it's showing you're still stuck in dualism. And people who are stuck in dualism, again, you'll find people, the ones that are stuck and can't move on, they'll give you an extreme case of where something happens Say, but good and bad do exist because if someone does this to someone else, of course, from a perspective, that is not helpful. That is, we could say, almost evil, bad from one perspective. As you go further and you start seeing and you start understanding those people are doing something for a certain reason, their programming leads them, the way they go deeper into this, you can analyze some of the most horrible people on the planet. And if you actually go into it and understand everything that they went through to get them to this extremist point, then we can start to see a different perspective. If only that person had been given better information earlier on, they wouldn't have become a extremist. Because this is the problem. It's not good and bad, it's people get pushed to extremes in trying to, with their ego, trying to keep themselves and promote. Yeah, it's a feedback loop, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, some people get to a point that they go too far and they end up doing these absolutely terrible things. Basically, what we need is reprogramming, almost brainwashing. Everyone's brainwashed, but a brainwashing system to break that program. That's what brainwashing is about, right? To break that so they can see it. I talk a lot about Derren Brown. He takes regular, normal people and he pushes them into states that they literally kill other people, that they rob banks, and he also does it the other way. So he takes them and so he gets these people to literally take a bullet for someone else. Using mentalism, using psychological practices, he shows you how people get programmed. If only we were taught these things in schools. But then we would be taught to have control over ourselves, not other people controlling ourselves. So when you find someone who is critical, who doesn't coddle things and dress things up, because Kundalini awakening is an extreme thing if we don't do it properly. It becomes extreme, it pushes our limits. It doesn't have to be. For me, when I work with people, I love to laugh and joke and take things lightly whilst doing very serious work. Find things in people. If they have fears, social anxieties, etc., 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 work on those things. When I talk about the chakras, we must work through the fears, the desires, the egoic ideologies. These things are all those levels. Those are healing. We must fully heal first. When you look for a teacher, when you look for someone to help you, there are more types out there, especially in the spiritual world, but these are the big ones. But when you look for a teacher, when you look for a master, analyze these things. Do these people fall into one of these be careful categories, or is it someone who's really going to challenge me and push me to be better? To get me ready so I'm fully prepared, so the hard stuff doesn't have to be extreme. Think about it.